Welcome to the Random Bites podcast, available on Spreaker.com, iTunes, Google Play, and just added to iHeartRadio. A new podcast every day featuring interviews and a unique take on the world we live in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Random Bites. Here is your host, Alan Wayne. Bill Nye, the Science Guy. You probably heard of him, Bill Nye, the Science Guy. We had a TV show that was very, very popular for many, many years, Bill Nye, the Science Guy, with kids. Kids loved watching his show, learned a lot from it. He is known as an American television presenter, William Sanford Nye, also a great salesman of bow ties. So he was educated in Cornell University, Sidwell Friends School, pretty smart chap, but he started his career as a sketch comedian on the television show Almost Live, which I do remember. He left Boeing, actually, to pursue comedy, and when I found out that this guy was doing a science show, I was like, what the hell? I see him from Almost Live to this. This is very strange. The show ran from 1994 to 1999 in national television syndication, and that was on for many, many years after that. And he's basically made a name for himself as Bill Nye the Science Guy. So you would think that he's brought on to CNN as Don Lemon's host. I mean, this is prime time, or co-host, or guest, actually. This is prime time television, folks. This is Don Lemon's show. And you would think that a person who goes by Bill Nye the Science Guy, who is the CEO of the Planetary Society and helping develop sundials for the Mars exploration rover missions, and talks about, in his two best-selling books, Undeniable Evolution of the Science of Creation and Unstoppable Harnessing the Science to Change the World, both have science in the title. So you would think that this guy knows about science as a whole, that this guy knows about, a grip of different things. Like Michio Kaku. When I see Michio Kaku talk, you could ask him about anything. You could ask him about matter in the universe. You can ask him about sunlight. You could ask him about oxygen, air, earth, water, anything, and Michio Kaku will give you a rather long and drawn-out answer. Sometimes a very amusing answer. Bill Nye, on the other hand, in this segment with Don Lemon, looked like a complete and utter fraud. And let me explain why. Don Lemon starts the interview with, nice to have you and everything else, and then says to Bill Nye, who is in his signature bow tie, so these hurricanes that are happening all over the world, what is the cause of these hurricanes? Now, everybody knows that hurricanes, well, not everybody, but a lot of people, you watch the Weather Channel a little bit, you know that hurricanes are produced by storms that gather warm water from the oceans. Now, why those waters are warm this late in the season or whenever is kind of mystifying, because that warm water fuels the hurricanes, creates the hurricanes, and makes them go. Bill Nye couldn't even explain that. Bill Nye's response was, and this is pretty close to a quote, well, being an engineer, I think that it is better that we confront climate change and we build our buildings and infrastructure to anticipate this climate change. What the hell kind of answer is that, Bill Nye, the Science Guy? What kind of answer is that? That's a non-answer. That's what it is. Basically, Don Lemon said, why are all these hurricanes happening? And Bill Nye said, build stronger buildings. What the hell? There is absolutely no correlation between the two. I mean, yes, engineering would help in these countries that are being, or in these islands and countries that are being ravaged by these hurricanes, including our own, of course. But that wasn't the question. The question was, what is going on? Why do we have, like, hurricanes running a train on the Caribbean? Like one right after the other. In ferocity that we haven't seen, possibly, in our lifetimes. And all Bill Nye could say was, well, as an engineer, we have to build buildings better. What a dud. Next question he gets asked by Don Lemon, who was kind of taken aback by that. He was expecting a Michio Kaku type answer. Well, you know, the wind and the water, they come together in this cosmic dance of wonder and wind. And you're just expecting something like that. You know, some great lot, or even some kind of answer that required some kind of scientific jargon. That would have been acceptable. You know, something where you at least sound a little bit smart. But instead, Bill Nye, I'll say it again because it was such a completely idiotic answer. Well, as an engineer, we have to build buildings that can withstand such climate. Well, Don Lemon decides to give him an out. Maybe he doesn't know about hurricanes, I bet Don Lemon's thinking. Maybe he doesn't know about it. Maybe that's not his thing. I mean, this is Bill Nye the Science Guy, after all. He taught kids about how science works. He taught kids about different scientific phenomena. And we could go into what meteorology is versus, you know, chemistry versus other types of science. I don't care. If you proclaim yourself as the science guy, you should know a little bit about everything, especially the cause of things. So, Don Lemon tries to give him a mulligan, I suppose. And he does acknowledge that engineering would be great as far as helping prevent damage from hurricanes, But what would be the cause of these hurricanes, the root cause? And Bill Nye says, well, you know, brought me on this show, and I'm an engineer, and it just keeps bloviating about how he's an engineer. I don't want to hear how you're an engineer, Bill Nye the Science Guy. I want to hear how hurricanes fucking work. That's why you were brought on the show. That's what you were asked. Answer the damn question, Bill Nye. So Don Lemon just, well, maybe he doesn't know about hurricanes. Maybe he knows about earthquakes, right? So, Bill Nye, says Don Lemon, why are there so many earthquakes happening right now around the world? Large earthquakes. Can you explain that? And Bill Nye, looking like a bow-tied deer in the headlights, uses the same answer. Well, as an engineer, we got to build the buildings better. Wow. That is so enlightening, Bill Nye, that we have to build the buildings better? Whoa. Whoo. Man, that's some groundbreaking stuff right there. Ha-ha, engineering joke. No. He was asking. He wanted to know about tectonic plates. The people wanted to know about shifting of the tectonic plates. What is going on the Earth's crust? The Earth is feeling a little itchy. It's got to scratch itself. It's got to... I mean, even something like that, you know? When I was a kid, in the shaky, quaky schoolhouse, they had this motorhome that would come and I was afraid, scared to death of that thing. But it was supposed to simulate a 7-point earthquake. And you go in and they do a little presentation, and part of it is a cartoon where a bear is telling me, well, you know, an earthquake is just the earth stretching its skin out a little bit. I would have been fine with that. That's taking a scientific premise like tectonic plates and, you know, the Earth's crust and all these different things, and let's just say bringing it down a notch for the simpler people. That would be great. But what does Bill Nye say? I'm an engineer, and we got to build buildings stronger. 15 minutes. Just spouting gas about engineering, about building better buildings, about building better infrastructure, without answering a single scientific, not even answering the question, not even providing a single scientific nugget. This is Bill Nye the Science Guy, for crying out loud. And he can't even provide one single scientific morsel of information about hurricanes or earthquakes. All he can tell you is, well, you got to build the buildings better and the streets better. This guy is a liberal icon. People look to him as one of the experts on climate change. This guy is what you're looking at. This guy, Bill Nye, the Science Guy, can't even explain why a hurricane works, how a hurricane moves, can't even explain the relationship between tectonic plates and the Earth, can't even explain anything like that. Bill Nye, the Science Guy, is a fucking fraud. I mean, look it up. Go check out YouTube. I'm sure it's there. Go check it out. Bill Nye, the voice of climate change, the guy who so many kids grew up thinking was this scientific wizard, is a complete and utter fraud who's getting paid by, let's just say, I don't want to say liberals because I don't want to sound like Rush Limbaugh, but he's getting paid by people to say that climate change is real, and he can't even tell you how a fucking hurricane works. Think about that. Thank you for listening to the Random Bites podcast. Remember to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play, and remember to look us up on iHeartRadio. Also, become a part of the radio revolution by donating on Patreon, www.patreon.com. Just look for the Random Internet Radio Show. And don't forget, you can hear the Random Internet Radio Show live every Saturday night only on Spreaker.com. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, always be random.